All right, up on the podium with me today will be two of the folks that work diligently day in, day out with regard to policy and legislative measures that ultimately dictate a lot of Wisconsin agriculture, whether they like it or not. Remember, that's the other thing is they are servants of the general public. I'm glad to welcome at the table with us this morning, this afternoon now. Of course, you recognize Senator Howard Markline from the 17th Senate District, Wisconsin Legislature. He'll be going first because they still have an incredible amount of work they're trying to punch through at the state capitol. And also, of course, the familiar and friendly face of our man, Randy Romanski, Secretary of the Wisconsin Department of Ag, Trade, and Consumer Protection, who will also bring us an update. Howard, I'm going to yield to you. They've decided that they're going to be kumbaya and sit next to each other here at the front. We'll let you go, Howard. Give us some of your priorities, the items that you're still trying to address down at the state capitol, and overall how you feel about 2026 so far.
Thank you. Good to be here. As I was chatting with a few people, I think I've attended every one of these for probably the last 14 plus years, maybe 15 years. So I enjoy this forum. Some great information. Sometimes as people in the agriculture area, you know, we're in the weeds a lot of times, and it's great to have experts elevate us a little bit and talk about the dynamics that are going on in the marketplace. And so I certainly appreciate that. I always come away with some great information at every one of these. So prior to, I co-chair the Joint Finance Committee, the Budget Writing Committee, and prior to that, I served as the chair of the Senate Ag Committee. I still serve on the Senate Ag Committee. And I guess I wanted to talk just briefly about my qualifications for serving on the Senate Agriculture Committee. I was raised on a farm. I know how to dehorn cattle. I know how to castrate. Started driving tractor at 5 years old. And so my roots are very, very deep in agriculture. And one of the reasons I bring that up is because we're losing people in the legislature that don't have that farm background. And that's not good for agriculture. You know, it just, it's not that people aren't smart, but, you know, we're losing some of those people that have been ingrained in agriculture. So anyway, that's one of the challenges. There's fewer and fewer of us that have that direct knowledge of what goes on in the farm. So I want to talk a little bit about the budget that we passed last year. It was a bipartisan budget. Again, I co-chair Joint Finance Committee. Really, in terms of legislative priorities, they tell me I have to get one bill passed, the budget. And for a period of probably 2 or 3 months, it's pretty much all consuming in terms of my time. And this budget process was incredibly bipartisan. We worked, I spent untold hours working with the governor's office on putting this budget together. And I think it was a good budget for agriculture. We extended the Agricultural Road Improvement Program, which was something that the farm community had asked for a few years ago. It's a bill that I authored in the past, and so we're able to fund that. And also, you know, we did a little bit of a carve out there so that 20%, $30 million of that money now goes for fixing some of these bridges, these small bridges that are in disrepair. So that was something that was unique to ARIP, and again, it's a good program. Wherever I go, I hear a lot of positive comments regarding that. Also, we did a lot, again, for conservation programs. The producer-led watershed program, $2 million. Nitrogen optimization grant program, $2 million. Cover crop insurance program, $1.6 million. And the thing that I like about like the producer-led watershed and nitrogen optimization, some of those, is that they're farmer-led. And it's not the strong hand of Madison coming down and telling some farmer how to farm on their particular farm and their soil types. and all that. So I think, most farms are, they want to do the right thing, and if we give them the right tools, they end up doing the right thing. We also provided money for expansion of both the meat industry as well as the dairy industry. $1 million for meat and $800,000 for dairy. So again, these are the processing plants. So I heard earlier, it's one thing to raise the animals, but we got to have the processing capacity also to make sure that they can get that meat or dairy products to market. Somewhat related to agriculture, the CDL, we put some money into a CDL grant program. It's getting harder and harder to find people that can operate our trucks. And obviously, an awful lot of our goods going into the farm, coming off the farm, now require a CDL. So as far as bills that we're working on now that hopefully we'll get some or all of these done here over the next few months, the Agricultural Road Improvement Program is a bill that I've authored. And what we want to do there, right now, to qualify for the ARIP, that road has to be posted. And what ends up happening, has happened, is a town board may post a town road purely for purposes of qualifying for the ARIP program. And then if they don't qualify, they end up with a posted road. So what the bill that I've drafted would do is provide them with an alternative to qualify for ARIP, and hopefully, that gets around this situation where they have to post it. That's passed the Senate, and I think the Assembly will be taking that up very shortly. I was chatting with somebody earlier. I authored a bill for soybean fire suppression soy foam. And so, again, that was basically designed here in Wisconsin and developed here in Wisconsin. Great, it's just a good news story, I think. It's great for our soybean farmers, provide them with one more outlet for their crop, and then also it's good for our fire departments, and obviously is good for the environment. It's a way for them to replace their firefighting stuff with that formerly that used PFAS. So, and then one thing that I heard a lot about over the last 5-6 months, and that has to do with livestock fees. And tee up here for that. So, obviously when those proposed fee increases were publicized, I went to, I'd be out going to county fairs and all kinds of places like that, and man, I heard from a lot of people, concerns about that. So anyway, we've got a bill out there that basically would restore or reset the fees back to the where they were. So I think that's still in committee. The veterinary loan repayment program, we have a challenge in our rural areas finding veterinarians that are willing to practice in our rural areas. And so this is it's a debt relief program. They help them with their schooling costs, but they have to work in a rural area, and they have to spend a certain percentage of their time working on large animals. Now they can still work on your cats and your dogs, so we know that's where the money is, and I'm not blind. They need to make money, obviously, but we need those veterinarians in our rural areas for those large animal situations. So, and then another bill that I've authored is the butter bill. And I testified in that in committee this morning. And what happened there was I went to a Farm Bureau meeting back in, I think it was August or September, and these dairy farmers were there, and they brought the packets of margarine that their school district lunch program was serving. And, it just, boy, I tell you, but not a whole lot of common sense, I guess, when it comes to that, again, in a rural area, geez, don't be stupid here. But anyway, so.
Common sense isn't so common
Man,
anymore,
yeah.
Howard.
And so, anyway, and like with, like in a prison, you can't serve margarine, but you can serve it in a school. So anyway, we've got a bill out there that would require that butter be served in our schools. So anyway, we had another hearing in that this morning. So anyway.
Who said no? Who said no?
Who said no?
Who spoke against it?
Nobody.
Okay.
Nobody.
Because you hit the news cycle perfect, Howard. I've had so many people emailing me, and who can we talk to about this? Going back to Oleo and crossing the borders, running for the borders for Oleo. So you hit a great news cycle with this one.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just, to me, it's like Pam said, it's just common sense, So, and then there's a couple other bills out there that we have dealt with, never passed in the past, and that has to do with lab-grown milk and lab-grown meat, prohibiting them to be sold as milk or sold as meat. And again, to me, it's just common sense. The milk that I just had doesn't come from a lab. It comes from that cow. So anyway, I think with that, we're going to be wrapping up here probably in a few months. A lot of committees, a lot of stuff going on. I got to head back this afternoon. But I appreciate this event very, very much, and good to be here.
Excellent. Good deal. Thanks, Howard. Appreciate it. He's going to stick around for just a little bit. We're going to segue to Randy Romansky, and you can start wherever you want. You have good news, you have bad news, and we will expect you to address the forthcoming announcement on your livestock pricing.
You got it. Yeah. Well, so first of all, thanks for having me here. Thanks for being here. Like Senator Markline, I attend this event frequently. In some respects, it's kind of like a family reunion because you see all the people that you're hoping to run into. So it's nice from that perspective. We learned a lot. I mean, the morning portion was heavy on some heavy topics. Trade obviously is going to be kind of a theme throughout the afternoon, and I'm going to spend some time talking about that. I will also say, Pam's right. I mean, we can sit here and I'm not going to sing Kumbaya. Are you going to sing Kumbaya?
You wouldn't want me to.
Okay, but we're gonna get along. And my reason for saying that is there's a whole lot of agreement in the world when you're looking for it. And there's, we agree on more things than we disagree on, especially when it comes to agriculture and especially in Wisconsin. So I appreciate Senator Markline starting off by talking about the ways that he and the legislature have worked pretty directly with the governor to implement some programs that are really good for agriculture. And so he mentioned the ARIP program, conservation program, which are we're getting inquiries from other states about the unique things that we're doing with our conservation programs here. That's pretty cool. The meat and dairy processing investments and general investments in agriculture, those are all good bipartisan things that the governor and the legislature have agreed on. And I say that a lot. Pam can attest to this. I usually say it every time because y'all should expect that we get along and get things done. So that's a good place to start. I am going to pivot to a couple of other things that have also been included in several of the governor's budgets and that the legislature has agreed on. And one of them relates to the common theme of today, and that's trade. Somebody, I think it was Senator Kajewski, said it this morning. You're not going to get through my presentation without me saying it, but agriculture is a $116 billion industry in Wisconsin, and right now, about 1 in 10 people working in the state of Wisconsin is working in a job related to agriculture. Pretty darn important to our state's economy. Obviously, the calling card of Wisconsin is a dairy. It's America's Dairyland, right on our license plate. But let's be honest, I mean, the diversity of agriculture is our strength. And you'll see and hear from people today that talk about that. Here's what I wanted to share with you because exports were such a strong component this morning. Wisconsin is a top exporter. Sarah, is Sarah still here? She asked the question about commodity versus specialty. Where's the movement in the export markets? I don't know if she's here, but I'll just say, value added is a place that Wisconsin shines. You know, it's both quantity and quality that is the calling card that the rest of the world is looking for. And so we are a top exporter of specialty cheese, cranberries, ginseng, genetics, prepared meats, and mink pelts. That's top exporter. There's a whole lot of other things that we're involved with too, and there's a whole lot of places in the world that those things are going right now. I promised my colleagues on the panel this afternoon that I would have a little bit of good news to share, and Pam's smiling too, so I caught her this morning too. So it's quality, it's availability, it's reliability of Wisconsin products that strengthen our economy both domestically and internationally. There's growing interest in these products that I just talked about around the world as economies grow. There's interest in products, and Wisconsin businesses and farmers can deliver. Here's a couple things to remember. Markets are important, and I'm going to say markets both domestically and internationally. Trade relationships are important, and we heard a lot about the uncertainties this morning, and I'm going to touch upon that, but I'm also going to give you some things that we can kind of hang our hat on. So I'm going to call this some good news and some not as good news, because I'm a Sunnyside person. Who said that earlier? Somebody said that they were a Sunnyside. Brenda said she was a Sunnyside person. So first of all, the good news is that Wisconsin is ranked 11th in the U.S. for ag, food, and forestry exports. That's up to 11th for ag, food, and forestry exports. Good news. Over the last 4 years, those have been the highest 4 years of ag, food, and forestry exports on record for Wisconsin. Good news. We got a lot to offer. And while the quarter 4 data is kind of coming in, we can say that quarter 3 through quarter 3 of this year was the 3rd highest quarter 3 that we've had in Wisconsin. So, I mean, again, there's some good news there. I talked about diversity in product. Diversity in markets is important too. There's obviously the big 3 or big 5 that we talked about earlier: Canada, China, Mexico, Japan, and Korea. Those have been consistently top 5 for a while. But we have Wisconsin products going a lot of different places. So right now, Wisconsin products are in about 150 of 195 countries. So think about that for diversity in marketplace. That's a pretty important thing to remember. So it's good to have that diversified market, and it's good to have the diversified product, and continuing to find new international markets is also important even during these challenging times. So here's where, it maybe skews to the not as good. And the word this morning was uncertainty. I would say we need certainty in marketplaces for Wisconsin products. Between disruptions, uncertainty in trade negotiations, tariffs, retaliatory tariffs, there have been impacts to Wisconsin and other trade markets. In fact, 2 of the top 3 Wisconsin markets, and I mentioned it before, but Canada and China are down considerably for Wisconsin products through quarter 3 of this year. And I think we saw a little bit of that a little bit earlier. And even though we've moved up to 11th in the United States for ag, food, and forestry exports, our exports through quarter 3 are actually down 2.5%. And that means that there are other places that are down as well, including the United States is down through quarter 3 of this year. So there's the not as good news. I'm going to flip back to the what is good news then, Randy. Dairy continues to be a strong contributor in the international marketplace. That's good for America's Dairyland, right? And that is the case for Wisconsin and Wisconsin products. Other risers for us right now: sauces and yeasts, prepared vegetables, and dried distillers grains have all been movers in a positive direction for the state. Good things. So with this diverse, quality, available product that we have, relationships are really important. The relationships that we've built over time to see those last 4 years grow are important now to continue to grow that market. But with all these disturbances, it's important that we stay in touch, that we are focused on this. And so this is where my father's words are ringing in my ear. Randy, what can we do? What can we do when some of these things are beyond our control, when the federal trade policies are made at the federal level, and they're in the international marketplace. What can we do here in Wisconsin? And this is where I'm going to go back to something that Governor Evers has made a priority, the legislature's agreed with, and that's providing state funding from Wisconsin to promote international trade. And it's at this point that I'm going to have them wave their hands. Julie Lassa from our Division of Ag Development, Ira Friedman with our International Agribusiness team. If you don't know them and you're interested in finding that market, finding that product, please find them today. So with some funding for something called the Wisconsin Initiative for Ag Exports, which came from the governor's budget that Senator Markline supported, we work with our international team, with farmers, with businesses, with the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation to build those relationships, to find that right product, to find that right market, to understand the dynamics of the international marketplace and provide some additional training. Those are all important steps to take. And as we continue to follow these challenging headwinds, continuing that relationship is important. That's why our team is here today, and that's why they are here every day trying to work with people to find that place. So what I would say on that before I pivot to something else, okay, I think we're pretty good. Wisconsin products are the best, and they will continue to shine in an international marketplace if they're given a fair market and even opportunity and free trade possibilities. We'll continue to see those numbers grow, and that's my hope. Again, some of those things are beyond our control. I wanted to give another example of where I use the term DATCAP as a resource. DATCAP as a resource. I promise to say it 5 times in my 10 minutes here, so I owe you 2 more. But there's a lot of stress in farming, even in good years. And obviously there's a lot of stress right now, and the Farm Center provides free and confidential services. It's everything from mediation to farm transitions to a lot of farmer wellness programs. Free and confidential services. If you know somebody who's experiencing stress or anxiety, please encourage them to go to datcap.wi.gov. It's been an all-time high in use of that service recently. That speaks to the stress that's out there. It also speaks to the willingness of farmers to make the call when they're feeling stress. So it's a resource there. Now, the last thing I wanted to do, since Senator Markline queued me up on it, I'll jump in. I didn't have it. I didn't plan for it, but I would. So what Senator Markline was talking about, fees for animal traceability. What I would say to you all is animal agriculture is a pretty darn important part of our state's economy. We've just talked about that for a while here today, and others will too. And that means that protecting the health and supporting the traceability, prevention of disease and traceability is pretty darn important too. It's work that goes on every day. Sometimes we don't see it. Biosecurity, outreach to the industry, working with farmers on what they're planning to do to prevent a disease or to prevent a disease from spreading, because there are any number of diseases that are out there that we don't want here, and if it's here, we better be able to trace it and get rid of it, because we don't want it hanging around here. So credit goes to the industry for buying in and being at the cutting edge of biosecurity and protecting their animals. The Department of Ag, Trade, and Consumer Protection has a division of animal health that works with the industry to do that. It's important services. It's important services that we need to do to be a resource to the industry, and it's important that we fund those programs. It's important that we fund those practices. And so DACAP undertook a administrative rule process that proposed some fees. It's a very public process. We got a lot of input too, Senator. And so we understand that there was some questions about that. But let me say this. When people commented about the fees, they said, these are really important programs and we need to fund them. Protecting animal health and making sure that we're tracing animal diseases and preventing them is really important. So we support the programs. The industry shouldn't pay It shouldn't fund that program entirely. We should look at what other states do, and other states provide general purpose revenue. And so those are all options. We have substantially reduced our fees so that there's proposed to be an inflationary adjustment. And we welcome the opportunity to use state general purpose revenue to fill the additional gap in funding that's necessary to provide these services. It's important that we're providing the services. It's important that we pay for them. So the question becomes time and money. There is time. I just saw that there was, Senator Markland said there's a bunch of hearings on bills right now. There was just a bill introduced, it was Assembly or Senate Bill 900 or something like that, and it's got a hearing already. So there is time to hear things like this. So there's time to provide some state general purpose revenue to help fund these programs. And the Legislative Fiscal Bureau just said that there was an additional $1.5 billion in surplus. And I think just using a little bit of that to help protect animal health and ensure animal traceability is a good thing. So I bring that up. Thank you for bringing it up, Senator. And I guess I'll close there. Thank you very much for being here, everybody, and looking forward to this afternoon.
Excellent. Thank you. We could keep talking. I know that 1.5 billion gives Howard a heart attack every time he hears people spending it before they know it. But let's give them both a round of applause because, like we said, Howard's got to get back to the Capitol. I think Randy will stay with us a little while longer. And if I'm correct, you're going to bring up the official conversation on that livestock fee situation during your DATCAP meeting. Is that Thursday?
Thursday.
All right. So if you want to tune in virtually or what have you, you can listen to the conversation unfold. Thank you, fellas. The other thing that I want to make sure that he hears me say, Randy Romanski is our ambassador. He doesn't just talk to us, he talks to others about Wisconsin. You are now, correct me now, is it the president of the Midwest Ag Secretaries, Midwest State Departments of Agriculture. It's part of the overarching ag departments. And remember, some of those secretaries are commissioners. They're elected. Randy serves at the pleasure of the governor, but he is bringing them all to Wisconsin sometime this summer to, June. I know that I wasn't going to. He's bringing them to Wisconsin in June to help them see everything that's going right in Wisconsin. So again, Randy, we thank you for your dedication above and beyond just what the job calls for in the description. He does so much more.